Hello and welcome to Highlights. My name is Jim Strawn, host of the television program Highlights from the Heart of Our Community. Is brought to you through a collaboration between my company, Jim Strawn and Company, Optimum Cable Services, and Kanawha County Schools TV. And if you're a regular viewer of our show, and we certainly hope that you are, you know how much we love to focus on those grassroots organizations, charitable, not-for-profit groups that are just doing truly remarkable, phenomenal work to make our great state of West Virginia, our Kanawha Valley, and our city of Charleston, and all points in between, a much better place to live, to learn, to work, and to play. And on today's Highlights program, we're going to feature an organization that means so much to so many families. They do such outstanding work. Their legacy runs very wide and very deep. And we're talking about Hospice Care of West Virginia. They have a camp coming up on Saturday, July the 22nd. It's a very special camp. We've had Mike on before to talk about this, but we haven't done this camp in about 3 or 4 years, since 2019. So we're going to catch up with the Director of Bereavement and Spiritual Care, Micheal Dupay. He's with Hospice. So lots of great insight coming your way, lots of very good information coming your way. We're going to do an infomercial, if you will, for Hospice Care of West Virginia, and talk more specifically about this upcoming camp. So again, lots of good stuff coming your way. We hope that you'll sit back, relax, take it all in, take some good notes. This is going to be a very powerful show. I love doing this show with Mike, so lots of good stuff coming. So, without further ado, I'm going to turn to my right. I'm going to welcome back into the Highlights program my good friend, Micheal Dupay. Mike, how are you?
I'm well, Jim. Thank you for having me.
It's good to see you.
It's great seeing you,
We
too.
haven't seen you for about 4 years.
4 years.
Since the summer of 2019. I mentioned you're the Director of Bereavement and Spiritual Care at Hospice Care, West Virginia. That correct?
That is correct.
How long have you been doing this? How long
28 years
You've been in that role for 28 years?
28 years. Well, actually, the director of the bereavement program for 22 years.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
But with Hospice for 28?
28. February 6th, 1995 was my start date.
So you have it down now, right?
I have it down. I'm hoping.
And it obviously means a lot to you, or you wouldn't still be there. So I always like to say to people about their work, align your soul with your purpose, and it's just not work anymore.
That's right.
So you really have aligned your soul with what you do, right?
I like to think so. I feel like it's been a call that I answered, and I can't imagine doing anything else, to be honest with you.
Before we talk about hospice and before we jump into the camp on July 22nd, let's talk to the audience. Talk to the audience about your evolution, if you will, where you're from, where'd you go to school, and what you have a master's degree, and what kind of degrees prepared you to be what you are today, Mike.
Yeah, thank you. Started off at Nitro High School.
You're a Wildcat, right?
I'm a Wildcat,
so
graduated.
Yeah, right. So this is brought to you by Kanawha County Schools, so they're going to be proud of. They're going to be proud that you were publicly educated in Kanawha County.
Nitro High School, 1977 grad, and I just told my age too.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I'm a 78 grad, so we're about the same age.
Close.
We're close. Very good. So Nitro, and then from there.
From Nitro, I went to Marshall University.
Nice.
And received my undergrad degree in 1981 with a degree in psychology. And then a little hiatus after school. I was in the Air Force for a while. Came back from the Air Force and went to graduate school at Marshall Graduate College.
Okay.
Received my master's in counseling.
Oh, nice.
And then, of course, with some supervision and such, I got my license, LPC, and went to work for Hospice in 1995.
Wow, and here we are. We're still there. So Hospice was, we always called it up on the hill. Now it's over, I call it the end of the boulevard, over there on the west side of the boulevard. Nice, beautiful facility, close to the Shoney's Monument, if you will. People remember Shoney's being there. So you're there. Tell me a little bit about your role. What does being the Director of Bereavement, what does that mean to
Sure.
folks?
So the Director of Bereavement and Spiritual Care is a program, part of Hospice. We're part of the interdisciplinary team.
Okay.
And we see patients prior to their death for anticipatory grief issues, but we also see families after the death has occurred as well. So we are mandated by Medicare to provide our bereavement services for 13 months after the death.
I did not know that.
Yes.
13 months.
13 months. And so we provide that service in many different ways. We do individual counseling, one-on-one support for grief. We work with children one-on-one as well. We do support groups. Our support groups meet every Tuesday mornings at 10:30. So we do a group 10:30 to 12:30 on
Do
Tuesdays.
you lead those or someone else? You lead those?
I lead the Tuesday groups.
Okay.
So from 10:30 to 12:30 is a group that we do every Tuesday, and I do that. And then we have a group from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock that I also lead on Tuesday. So my Tuesdays are pretty packed
They are.
with doing groups. Now we also have a group on Thursday evening for folks that work during the day, and they can come from 6 to 8 at the hospice office, which is 1606 Canal Boulevard West.
1606.
Mhm.
1606 Canal Boulevard
Boulevard
West. Okay.
Yeah, it's the old Shoney's property,
Yeah,
as we
Hillshire
spoke.
Road, yeah.
The Shoney's Boulevard Lanes, I think it used to
Yeah.
be.
I used to
so-
bowl there, by the way.
Yeah, I bet you bowled a 300 there.
The best I ever got was a 260. I'll take that though.
I'll take that.
But no 300s for me. Yes.
Not even close to a 260.
Yes.
So we've been there at that location about since 2005-ish, right around that area. But that's also where we do our support groups as well. Now, the Thursday, getting back to the support group, on Thursdays from 6 to 8 in the evenings. And then on Friday, we also do a support group for folks that have died due to an addictions or an alcohol addiction or a drug overdose. And those are every Friday from noon to 2.
How do you, Mike, after 28 years, and you listen to people who are pained and in sorrow and just struggling emotionally to get over the death of a loved one, how do you stay focused? How do you stay up? How do you continue to be a rock for these families? Does it take a lot out of you, or do you feel energized to provide this service? I guess probably a combination of.
I'm going to say yes, a combination of both. It can take a lot out of you.
Yeah.
As you can imagine, it's a very intense subject, and a lot of deep feelings come out. But it's also very rewarding. It's rewarding to see people grow through their grief process, and to watch people come in, and we meet them where they are in their grief process and promise them a companion on their grief journey. And sometimes that grief journey can last a year, 2 years, and
Everybody's
beyond.
different, right?
Everybody's different.
Everybody's different. But that's the reward for you. That's,
Yeah.
you see them, like you said, you meet them where they are, and you can see the growth, right? You can see them come out of it, somewhat become their old selves. You know, grief and death is not for the ones that have passed, it's for the ones that are still living, and they have to continue to live. So you provide
Yes.
hope, and a lot of hope. You provide a lot of hope, right?
Sure. And I work by the mantra, good things happen when you show people that you care.
Gotcha. Love
And,
that.
and when you show people you care, healing can take place. A lot of good things happen. Our support groups are well attended. They're well received. Our individual support is well attended, well received. And in addition to working with hospice families, we also work with the community families as well. So we provide grief support to community folks as well as hospice bereaved individuals. And we're in the school systems too. So we provide grief support to various schools, and that's upon request. We've been in Putnam County and of course all over Kanawha County. And that's been a good service as well.
Hospice Care West Virginia, when I say West Virginia, are there hospices in every market, every state? I mean,
Yes.
hospice is national and international, I would
It is.
assume.
It's a national organization, and but here in West Virginia, I think we have, of course, the Kanawha Hospice.
Okay.
We're actually known as Hospice Care.
Hospice Care.
Hospice Care.
Just Hospice Care.
Right,
Not WV.
and
Although the website is hospicecarewv.org. I'll go ahead and get that out there right now. Hospicecarewv.org. And I'm going to put the phone number up. It's on the screen as well. If there's questions for Mike or anything, questions regarding hospice care, 304-768-8523. So we're just Hospice Care, but the website is Hospice Care WV. Just trying to clarify.
Yes.
So, and are there other hospice cares in West Virginia?
Yes, there's down in the Beckley area. You have Hospice of Southern West Virginia,
Okay.
Dignity Hospice in the Chapmanville area. We have hospice in the Panhandle, over, of course, on the Eastern Panhandle. We have a hospice in Wheeling, a hospice up in Parkersburg. So, yeah, various locations throughout the state.
At the end of someone's life, a hospice has, is it a hospice house, beds? Do you know how many beds we have for that? Is it about
Sure.
20 or, I don't, I'm
Well, we have a Hubbard House facility.
Hubbard House,
And
that's
these are inpatient units that we're talking about.
Okay.
And we have 24 beds in
24.
that facility.
I knew it was 20 something.
And we're also at CAMC Memorial,
Okay.
and we have 12 beds there. We have 12 beds at Hubbard House West, which is in Thomas Hospital, and we have 7 beds in Lewisburg at the Angus Payton House in Lewisburg, West Virginia.
And when someone is diagnosed and they're put into these beds, what is the primary role for hospice care? What are you guys doing for the patient, the family? What are you doing?
Well, we're providing obviously end-of-life care, but we're also managing the pains and symptoms of the illness.
Yeah.
So we manage that with various medications. We also provide social support services. We provide chaplain services with our spiritual department. We provide the bereavement services for anticipatory grief to provide, emotional support while the patient is going through the dying process with the family. So there's a number of things that we offer. We are a holistic approach to care. So, we provide palliation for the physical part for the patient and the emotional and social side and the spiritual side for the family members as well and for the patient.
We're talking with Micheal Dupay. Mike is the Director of Bereavement and Spiritual Care for Hospice Care. Hospice Care is at 1606 Canal Boulevard West. If you go over that way, if you're from the Canal Valley or the Charleston area, you'll see the big boy. That's in reference to the Shoney's area, the restaurant, Shoney's restaurant, and the bowling alley that was there as well. But it's a wonderful, beautiful new facility there since Mike mentioned about 2005. They do amazing work. Their service runs very, very, very deep in our community. And one of the things you mentioned, you're in the schools and you do bereavement with groups. And I'm assuming that all family members are involved in that. But you're doing something here that we're here today to talk about. It's just Camp Mend a Heart.
Correct.
Camp Mend a Heart has been around. I talked earlier at the top of the show that you had your last Camp Mend a Heart in the summer of 2019. We didn't do it in 2020 for obvious reasons, 2021 for obvious reasons. We didn't get it done last year, and it's back. And it needs to be back. And on July the 22nd, from about 8 or 9 in the morning to about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon at Camp Hightour, which is in Putnam County.
Correct.
Is that still the Tri-County YMCA's camp? They
Yes.
still own and operate
Exactly,
that?
yeah, Tri-County
So
Y.
this is Camp Hightour on July the 22nd. It's Camp Mend a Heart.
It's right off Church Camp Drive.
Church Camp Drive. It's been a long time, Mike. There's the poster on the screen right now, Camp Mend a Heart.
Okay.
Talk to the audience about what this camp is all about. Who is it for? And someone's going to go, I know someone that should be at this.
Sure. Yeah, Camp Mend a Heart. We resurrected it after, like you said, 4 years.
Yeah.
And
I'm glad it's back.
I am too.
I'm glad it's back.
We're all glad it's
Yeah,
back,
good.
and it's a much needed service. And basically, the camp is a fun day for kids. It's a fun day, but it's also an educational day. So not only are they having fun with various games that we have presented on our schedule, as you look down our
Yeah,
schedule
we'll get
there.
to the schedule momentarily.
So we have games that play team games, team relay races. We're going to have some inflatables there this year. We have a gaming bus there this year. Just a lot of activities for fun, but also we're going to teach them about grief and the grief process and how to cope and manage with those feelings of grief.
Camp Mend a Heart is for children ages 5 to up into the teens, 18?
Yes, 5 to 18, but we usually generally get kids from 5 to 15, 5 to 16 range.
And again, is this, are the kids, sadly, they qualify because they've lost someone in their life that meant a loved one?
Yes.
They've lost their mom or their father or an aunt or uncle or
Or
grandparent.
a friend or a
friend.
sibling, yes.
So if someone that they know has passed and it's affected them, this camp is for them.
Yes, yes, it is.
Does it cost anything for them to come out to the camp?
It doesn't cost them anything.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, we're providing this
Wow.
as a free community service.
Folks, listen to this. Camp Mend a Heart, brought to you by Hospice Care, is on July the 22nd. It's a Saturday. It starts about 8:30 in the morning with some registration, 8 to 8:30. It's at Camp Hightour, and it runs until about 4:35 that day. It doesn't cost anything for the campers to come out. It's a day camp. You can see that if you call 304-768-8523 register your child. We're trying to get people registered by Thursday, July the 20th, so you still have time as this show is running. It's a free one-day camp, and as Mike mentioned, there'll be swimming, there'll be arts, there'll be crafts, there'll be games, there'll be relays, but there's also going to be some opportunities to talk.
Yes.
And as you and I both know that talk therapy, along with play therapy, is very critical to the bereavement, the grieving process, and to come out on the other side of this, right?
100%.
So you do that there as well.
Yes, yeah, we plan to have a very interactive camp, Jim.
Okay.
And we have well-trained bereavement counselors that will be interactive with the children that will be there, providing them also grief education and emotional support as needed. Some of the educational things that we plan on doing is doing a memory box, for example. And they'll be able to decorate that box. They'll make it according to the spirit memory of their loved ones. So they'll be able to custom design it, if you will, and then they can put their memories inside the box. We're going to do I call it a yarn activity, which is basically it flows like and tells the story of the children's grief process, but it interweaves with a nice web of a beautiful, just a beautiful pattern, and it shows that we're all connected in grief. So we're going to do that activity. We're going to have a therapy dogs there. We're going to do some water balloon tosses and just, again, fun and grief education.
Camp Mend a Heart, brought to you by Hospice Care, is July the 22nd. That's a Saturday. I'm looking at the schedule here. You'll get registered. You can start registering about 8 o'clock, and registration is about 8:30, 8:40 or so. It looks like we're going to do a little team bonding or team Pictionary to kind of introduce everybody to everybody else.
Yes.
I think something that'll be about how many folks do you hope? How many campers can you handle that day, Mike?
Currently, we have about 20 campers registered.
Okay.
We can handle up to about 30.
Okay.
So we have about 10 slots open.
So as you watch this, folks, don't hesitate. If you know a child that would benefit from this, give us a call, 304-768-8523, and get your child that you know, your child who's a loved one of yours, if you think they need this, get them in there. I'm looking down through here. You mentioned the grief yarn activity already. Of course, it's all day long, so you're going to have some great snacks and probably a great lunch for the kids to enjoy. You mentioned the therapy dogs. Those dogs, like service dogs, therapy dogs, they're so.
Yes.
I'm amazed at these dogs. They can take so much petting from so many children. They just are like, okay.
But we're also going to have an obstacle course there. So the dogs are intelligent and they're well trained, so they're going to run an obstacle course. Hopefully the border collie will show up this year, and
kids will love that.
And they just do a great job with that obstacle course and interacting with the kids.
There is a nice swimming pool out there, so there may be some time for the campers.
2 hours. We have a 2-hour slot for swimming. I believe it's from 1:30 to 3:30 is our slot for swimming.
Well, that's my favorite.
What's that?
Wiffle ball.
Yeah, we'll start that early on.
Yeah, I just now noticed that. That's my favorite.
So as the registration starts at 8 o'clock that day, and they go from 8 to 8:30, we'll be playing wiffle ball
do you
as
need
the
me to
kids
come out
come
and
in.
pitch a little bit of wiffle ball for the kids?
Yeah.
I'd love to do this. I love Camp High Tour. I love that camp. I've been out there. I used to work with the Tri-County YMCA. I was on their Public Relations Committee for years. I've been out to the camp. It's
a good camp.
spectacular.
It's a good camp.
We appreciate Tri-County Y, letting you guys use that.
We do appreciate it, and they are offering that camp free of charge to us as well. So the camp utilization that day is a donation from the Tri-County.
So you can see, folks, there's not a lot of money involved with this camp. It's for the children ages 5 to 15, 16. We'll take you if you're 17, 18. But if you think you have a child that would benefit from this camp.
And we're still looking for some sponsors, too.
Oh,
so
get this in there.
That would be a good thing to talk about.
And people can sponsor it financially or with some in-kind things or some donations, maybe even a food or snacks. And
we're a nonprofit, so
we'll always take the financial resources as well.
Yes.
So they can call that same number and say, hey, I'd like to make a donation. My company would like to sponsor. My organization would like to sponsor. And no little bit is, it doesn't matter. It all helps, right?
Whatever you feel from your heart that you could sponsor, we will be more than gracious to accept that and appreciate that.
So the Tri-County YMCA, they're already, as we mentioned, an in-kind sponsor. Do you have some other supporters or somebody that is already on board you'd like to mention?
Budget Blinds.
Budget Blind. Richard Shell, my buddy
Richard
Richard.
Shell, yeah. Budget Blinds has agreed to be a sponsor.
He's a good guy, isn't he?
Yes,
Such
he
a
is.
good man.
And he's agreed. So, but we're still making some phone calls on
Okay.
that. So we're
Yeah.
looking for sponsorship.
Well, that's a great, I'm glad you said that. If you'd like to support Camp Mend a Heart, support Hospice Care, give them a call, say, hey, here's 50 bucks, here's 100, here's 500, here's $1,000. Jim Strawn and Company, I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. I'm on record. I'll do a $100 sponsorship for
Well, thank
Camp
you.
Mend a Heart. Jim Strawn and Company
Thank
will
you,
do
Jim.
that. If you'd like to join me and Richard Shell with Budget Blinds and Tri-County wide, give them a call at 304-768-8523. That number is to register folks. That number is to support the camp. That number is to be a sponsor of Camp Mend a Heart. We haven't talked about this show or this camp for 4 years. 4 years. So we're really trying to bring it back in a great way. We got room for about 30 campers on Saturday, July the 22nd. I'm looking at this schedule again. It looks like a boatload of fun for kids.
I've also failed to mention my brother Dan.
Yeah, I know Dan.
Dan Dupay, owner of Insurance Schools,
Okay.
has also agreed to sponsor us as well.
Will Dan be there that day?
He will not be there.
Okay, I just say, if he's going to be there, I'm still going to try to come out, but if he was there, I haven't seen him since the late 80s, by the way.
Yeah, he's now living down in Huntersville, North Carolina,
So
but he's graciously agreed
Nice.
to send some money our way too for some
that's great that
sponsorship.
I know your brother Dan.
Yep.
It's been 40 years since I've seen him last.
He's a good
or
man.
35. Yeah, he's
a good man.
Good man. We're talking with Mike Dupay. Mike, we've had him on before, but it's been a few years. He's no stranger to the Highlights program, but it's been a while, and we're happy to have him back. And Mike Dupay is the director of Bereavement and Spiritual Care for Hospice Care, again on West Washington, well, Canal Boulevard West, on the west side of Charleston. But he does a super job, and this camp is just so powerful.
Yeah,
so
and
powerful.
again, I can't reiterate enough how excited we are to be able to do this again. And the kids benefit so much, not only from the mentorship that we provide with our counselors, but also peer validation and peer support plays a huge, huge part in their grief journey.
We'll have about 30 or so campers. You know, if 31 came, you would probably take 31.
Of course,
But
yes.
So how many
32.
How many bereavement counselors, how many folks work with you or work with the camp that day to ensure that all the campers get the attention they need?
We'll have, I think we'll have 4 bereavement counselors,
Okay.
2 chaplains, and a plethora of
Some
volunteers.
So
Yes.
if people want to volunteer, that's part of the way they can support as well.
Well, it's the hospice
The
volunteers.
hospice volunteers are already,
Right.
what do you call that? They're already vetted.
Yes, they're already vetted,
Already
and
vetted.
they are qualified to be
Yeah.
a hospice volunteer.
So there'll be plenty of folks out there.
And they will be there. And we also have a couple nurses that will be there as well.
Well, you have to have them.
Yes,
Well, my
bee
wife
stings. I mean,
my wife is a registered nurse. I know how that works.
Yeah.
All camps have to have some medical attention,
Yes.
some medical personnel there.
Yeah. And I'd like to thank Joe Bailey. Joe Bailey is
Oh,
one
yeah.
of our nurses that will be there, and
Good guy.
she's she volunteers regularly for our camp. So I want to
it.
give a shout out to Joe and thank her for her volunteering service for camp.
Great, great. She is great. Very good. Well, there he is, Micheal Dupay with the Hospice Care. He's the director of bereavement. We're talking about the 2023 Camp Mend a Heart. I don't know how many years we've done it, but we haven't done it for 4 years. Mike, do you have a parting shot? Is there something I haven't asked you that the audience needs to know about hospice care, what you do, or this camp? If not, just give the audience a parting shot.
Yeah, hospice in general, it's just vitally important to get your loved one into hospice when that terminal diagnosis has been made known to the family. And hospice care accepts patients that with a 6 months or less prognosis for terminal illness. But the sooner that we have patients in our program, the sooner that we can set up the nursing services, the social work services, the chaplain services, the anticipatory grief services. So all these services come together in a very orchestrated way to provide outstanding end-of-life care for not only the patient but the family members as well.
Thank you very much, Mike. I applaud what you do. I applaud hospice care. I mean, the entire staff, everybody that I've ever been affiliated with, and all the families that have been touched by you. You know, when I say hospice care, they're like, oh, everybody's like, it's just so, oh, what a warm organization, what a loving organization, what a supportive organization. you just do amazing work. So thank you from all of us. I know how many people you've touched. I know families that you've touched. That's probably why 28 years has clipped by like it was just a week and a half. I mean, you love helping people, and you'll continue to do this as long as you're called to do this, right?
Absolutely.
There he is. That is Micheal Dupay. He's the director of Bereavement and Spiritual Care with Hospice Care. We're talking about Camp Mend a Heart. Again, one more time, July the 22nd from 8:30 in the morning to 4:30 in the afternoon. Saturday, July 22nd at Camp High Tour is the Hospice Care Camp Mend a Heart. Once again, it is back. Give them a call if you'd like to register a child. Your child could be somebody that you know, but give them a call. Get that child registered because there are only so many slots for the camp. 304-768-8523. 304-768-8523. If you want to go to their website, it's hospicecarewv.org. hospicecarewv.org. I look forward to July the 22nd. I am going to come out and pitch some wiffle ball. You know
Come
that,
on,
right?
yeah.
You know I will. That's all the
No
time.
curveballs allowed.
Oh, no, I just throw sliders. No, it'll be fun. I love me some wiffle ball. Many of you know, if you know me at all, you know how much I love wiffle ball. I was a physical education major in college, so you know I love me some wiffle.
Come on out. We'd love to have you.
I'm going to try to get out. Get your child registered, again, with the Hospice Care and Camp Mend a Heart. That is all the time we have on this edition of Highlights. As always, Highlights is brought to you through a collaboration between my company, Jim Strawn and Company, Optimum Cable Services, and Kanawha County Schools TV. A shout out to our assistant producer today, Kennedy D'Antoni. That's all the time we have for it. We'll see you on July the 22nd at Camp High Tour for Camp Mend a Heart, and we'll see you next time right here on Highlights. Take care now.